Thank you so much. Great. So, hi everyone, my name is Rebecca. I work at Circle as a lead product manager, and I'm here today to talk about account abstraction. I specifically want to talk about why do crypto apps today not scale? And then the second thing I want to touch on is how account abstraction can actually help with that. So quick about Circle. We are known as the issuers of USDC and EuroC. We work with over 4,000 different businesses, but we have less than 2 million active users. Because of that, we wanted to figure out why is this happening, right? Like, why do we not see more active users, people using us? Why are just businesses predominantly using USDC? And so in order to do that, we did a little experiment in Oakland. So I have a question for all of you. If I would give you $20 and you give me $10, who of you would do it? Of course, it's a no-brainer, right? So in a farm, in a market in Oakland, what we did is that we basically set up all of the customers who went there with a crypto app. We gave them $20, right? We obviously gave them a bit of Matic, so they can also pay for the gas fees. And we said that they're able to go around the market and buy whatever they want to. Sounds like a great deal. What we did for the merchants is that we also set them up with software so they can actually process all of these payments. So what we did is they were able to charge using Square. They were able to reconcile all of the transactions using Coinbase. And then they were able to process the transactions. So that was the setup. The customers would come, they would pay for the juice, for the apples, all of that, using crypto, and the merchants were able to handle the transactions in the end. And let's see what happened. It wasn't a great experience. What basically happened is that a lot of customers came, they tried to pay. Even the onboarding to the app itself was complicated. Users are confronted with something called a seed phrase, which I'm sure all of you know what it is. They then had to basically figure out how to pay. Then they were suddenly confronted with the idea of gas fees, and they had to understand that they had to pay Matic for it, and then sometimes they didn't have enough gas fees to cover. So in the end, a lot of queues formed, and it was a very, very difficult experience. So it wasn't really a success, so to speak. So frustrated merchants and churned users. So why is this, right? And we here at Circle believe that there are two things that a crypto app needs in order to become successful. So that's basically the user experience, so how an app is built. And the second is a use case, what value it delivers, right? And without these two things, it's going to be really, really, really hard to get global adoption. And I'm not speaking about the market that we already have today and the people who use it, and we all believe in decentralization, but I'm really talking about the mass market here. And what I want to focus on today is like how an app is built. So I want to talk about what are the challenges that people are facing today. I want to talk about how account abstraction can solve this. And I will also show you a real-life example of how account abstraction is used at large scale today. So let's start with ownership and trust. As we've seen in the example in Oakland, the people going to the farmer's market needed to download an app. And usually what you're confronted with at first is a seed phrase, which is not a concept that people are familiar with. So obviously, we could have also gone with a centralized approach, where you only have to enter your email address and your password. It's very familiar, you know what you're doing. But then you have the problem with trust, right? So do you really trust a centralized solution to take over your assets, and who are you transferring your ownership to? And then the second thing is security and recoverability. Even if we get people to understand what a seed phrase is, can we trust that they understand how to keep it safe? There are a lot of solutions out there, and there are a lot of ideas how we can do that, but the numbers or the statistics speak for themselves. So, okay, we could go with a centralized approach again. because there you have recoverability. You would just have to email customer support and you would be able to completely recover your account. But that brings us back to the first problem. And now let's talk about gas cost and residue. Even though centralized approaches do sometimes pay transaction fees for their end customers, they will always have the same problem, which is how much do you pay for your gas cost and how do you basically balance cost and then manageable amounts, right? So moving on to the next bit, which is customizability, flexible versus purpose-built. If you want to have a wallet that can do everything, it's really hard to specify it for the product that you're actually building. And integration. We all know that there are wallets like MetaMask, for example, that you can use with a lot of different solutions. But in order to create a tailored experience, you would usually have to embed it, right? Because if you're, for example, building something where you need the user to constantly authorize something, you will have to have them sign again and again and again. It's not a great user experience, right? So again, we have the trade-off of embedded versus disjoint. By the way, great example here of Argent, who's created a nice embeddable experience where you can also not only access your wallets within the app, but also integrate with DeFi and dApps. So the question is, what is changing with account abstraction? What account abstraction does is that it separates the actual account from the actual signing capabilities. So what that basically means is that you're able to have a different account authorize transactions within that account. That means that if you, for example, build a decentralized application or an app, you're able to completely create a user experience that is more familiar for the user itself. So they don't have to deal with the private keys. When looking at all the trade-offs that I've covered earlier, we really see that account abstraction can provide solutions here. So when we look to onboarding, with account abstraction, suddenly social login is possible. You can even have social recovery or normal recovery in a sense, right? Argent is an example of that with the Guardian principle. And when it comes to asset protection, you can suddenly build in transaction guards. So what do transaction guards do? They allow you to define at what point a transaction is allowed to be processed. That can be based off of amount, volume, time. And when it comes to the transactions, we can really focus on gas abstractions. So that means that you as a developer or as a company are able to actually sponsor the gas fees for your end users. And when it comes to customizability, we have plugins and subscriptions. So with account abstraction, you're able to take all of the different elements that account abstraction offers. So for example, social login, social recovery, transaction guards, and you're able to add them to your smart contract wallets as modules, completely changing what your wallet is able to do. And the last thing is integration, right? So going back to having a website or a decentralized application where you need wallet interactions. With session keys, what you can do is that you can authorize a wallet, or the wallet can authorize itself to interact with that dApp for a sustained period of time. So instead of basically authenticating every single interaction, you're able to kind of have that session, which is a completely different user experience than what we're used to today. So this is great theory, right? And we can go into the technical details and all of that. But what I want to focus on is, like, does this work in the real world? A few months back, we've launched programmable wallets. I don't want to make this a marketing presentation about programmable wallets, but what programmable wallets is that it's a wallet infrastructure where developers can choose between two different custody solutions. So one is user-controlled and one is developer-controlled. And both of them, in a few weeks' time, will be available public with smart contract wallets. And what we've really done here, especially with the user-controlled wallets, is provided a user experience that is more familiar to your end users. So it's more like a banking app rather than a full-fledged crypto wallet, fully understanding the trade-offs that come with it. And I'm super happy to talk about how we've done that a bit more. But today I want to focus on the example. So once we've launched this product, we partnered with Grab. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Grab, but it's a super app in Asia. And what they basically do is they're a bit like Uber, but they also do payments, and they do a lot of different things. And what they're doing is that they're working with the Singaporean government to think about how NFTs can basically be used as vouchers. So during the coronavirus, you know that there were a lot of government subsidies for food, for example. In the UK, we had Eat Out, Help Out, where you would get a bit of money in order to go out and help the restaurants. And what they're trying to do is digitize this. So here in the example, you see the voucher for a pit stop. I don't know, oh, I didn't send the video, but basically you would see the whole flow. You could then go to the restaurant pit stop. And when you then pay using your Grab app, you can apply the voucher in order to pay. So they're using user-controlled MPC wallets. That means that Grab is not able to control any of the assets within the user's wallet. It's blockchain agnostic, so right now we support EVM-compatible chains. One sec, sorry. And it's a very familiar user experience for the users. Obviously, they've built it using programmable wallets. We also offer scalable infrastructure. And now the exciting bit, we offer a gasless experience. So this is the detail right here, right? So Grab is the first one to use our smart contract wallets. And this was the only way that we were able to offer a user experience to thousands of people in Asia that doesn't have a big hurdle. So the way that we basically do it, and I'll show it a bit more later, is that we basically pay for the gas fees of Grab's end customers. So that's what we basically do right now. And all of that is possible just because of smart contract wallets. And so we've also built a system where you can manage gas spend, so you can actually say how much you want to spend for it. And our end users really don't have to handle any crypto tokens. So in this case, they're using NFTs for the vouchers, but in future, if there's, for example, USDC global payments, we can do exactly the same thing. So now a quick demo. I'm going to move over here so I can see the screen. So this is our developer console. As I mentioned, we've launched programmable wallets, and this is where you can manage all of your wallets. You can get your API keys, your webhooks for all the developers here. And it now has a really cool new feature, which is called the Paymaster. And what the Paymaster does is that it lets you as a developer define or helps you configure how you pay the gas fees for your end users. So when you come to the Circle developer console, you basically start by creating a policy. So very simple. You're able to choose the network, how much you want to spend per day, because we know that, I don't know if anyone knows about this, but back in the day when the Ethereum gas fees rose extremely high, some companies actually nearly went broke because they were subsidizing gas fees. Sorry, I have a cold. And then you're also able to say how much you want to spend per transactions and how many you want to do per day. So you're absolutely able to completely manage this operational cost. And obviously, we need your credit card because you're able to actually pay for this using credits or using US dollars. And once you've done that, you're ready to go. So you're able to pay for your end users' transactions. So yeah, I think this is about it. What we're trying to show here is account abstraction is, from a technological standpoint, really amazing. But what we've also shown is that it's not that scary, right? Like, we can see it working today with our partner Grab. We've built a user interface that makes it manageable and easy to use, and we're hoping to see the results from a user experience standpoint very soon. Thank you.